on a big screen, too, and that's a huge thing. I mean, seeing something on the big screen is awesome. The Boston Open Screen, what it does, it puts you in a dark room with a bunch of strangers, and some people you may know, or some people you might have brought there, to look at something. They have no idea what they're going to see. And as we kind of always joke and always put out there, you know, as an organizer, as the three organizers who work there now, myself, Adam Van Voorhees, Adrian Atwood, and until recently last year, Vache Arabian, until he left and moved to Seattle this past summer, we would say the scary and beautiful thing is we do not know what is going to be shown at these Boston Open screens. And back then, in 2003, 2004, that was that same way. They were going to that dark territory where we're just going to open up this space and we're going to just let it fly. And actually, one of my good friends and co-director of a documentary Adam also shot, so I apologize, I'm kind of a media whore in so many ways. I will be plugging a bunch of stuff, pardon my French. But this documentary, My Name is Jonah, we did, and my co-director, J.B. Sapienza, he was going to Mass Art at the time, and he actually brought something to one of the first Boston Open screens. And he was an experimental animation filmmaker, and still does a lot of experimental stuff. He's got great work. You should check him out, J.B. Sapienza. But, and that's kind of cool too, because like at open screen, especially in Boston and other major cities, you can just, for things that no one cares about online or just people aren't really looking for, like something avant-garde, something blatantly surveillance-esque. Like we have beautiful pieces that get brought in and stuff that I've seen over the years being displayed at open screen, where you're able to be an experimental filmmaker and get like genuine reaction from people, and then just kind of go from there. Because it's not, it has nothing to do with any sort of, I mean, I guess you can gain status or get a cult thing going, and that's kind of cool too. I mean, there are various levels of Boston Open Screen. You can meet people who make films, and you can meet people who just want to watch interesting things. And from there, you can kind of engage other filmmakers and be a part of it. But just being in that room alone, back to that original point, when they kind of created this back in 2003, 2004, they created this space where literally you're in this dark room, you don't know what you're going to see. It's incredibly primal in all beautiful ways, because you see this stuff on the screen, comes back at you, and you hear someone either go, "Oh, geez," or just like cringe. You hear a laugh. You notice people being uncomfortable, and you don't get that online when you screen something. You don't necessarily. Someone can write it, and someone can do a video reaction to it, and you can possibly, perchance, if you get to a point where things reach a certain hit count, or you get sort of fame or sort of online celebrity, you can get a certain feedback that seems kind of palpable or just kind of something you can use. With Boston Open Screen, you can engage someone directly, and you can use that, you can mold that. And someone can give you a suggestion that sounds earnest. And you can tell from, maybe you don't even know the person, but you can tell looking into their eyes, and they can give you this criticism or this, "Hey, I love what you did. You could do, have you ever tried doing this?" Or, "Hey, would you like to do something that's similar to that? Would you try something else?" So, it's all about creating those human relationships in film, which is hopefully why people want to do this stuff. And it's also just doing it. Boston Open Screen promotes a great deal of just every month, the second Tuesday on every month, we'll be there. We will be there to just put whatever up there. And it's just your job to come there and put it up there. It doesn't have to be finished. It can be work in progress. And that's kind of a great thing, too. You can get that feedback there. And it's shaped a lot of stuff, like, personally, that I've done, that I know Adam's done, and other filmmakers have done. Recently, though, it's been kind of interesting. I feel like there's been so much of a hype around Boston Open Screen that people feel afraid to bring stuff that's unfinished. Because I have that, too. I think we all get credo ourselves, in good and bad ways, about our work. Because we want people to like it and we want people to be honest. It's like that kind of like, both two kind of opposing things can be true. You want to get positive feedback, but you also want to get constructive or negative feedback. You want that whole package, but you don't want to be too hurt or too, you don't want to experience too much of a high, too much of a low. And it's kind of a beautiful thing where you can go there and bring an unfinished piece. But a lot of people aren't doing that as much right now. I've seen people bring kind of finished, like what they feel is more polished. And I guess one of the things I'd always like to say, don't be afraid what you bring, because we've literally had Willem Dafoe dance. Like Willem Dafoe apparently was in this video where he was nude, just flopping around, and like I guess he did it for public access. It was actually pretty hilarious, but it was just a weird thing someone just threw up there. So if, just to quell any questions about is there any nudity involved in any of this, not live, but I mean that could change. Who knows? But just for someone who brings anything, yeah, you never know. And it's usually typically 18 plus, to continue with that conversation. But we've had people come in with kids, not too maybe teenager-ish. We were like, oh, you might not want to bring them in here, but all right. Typically 18 plus is what we look for. But yeah, it's so 2003, 2004 is when that all begins. Then it kind of evolves. And it moves from, actually the Somerville Theater is the place it goes. I think Coolidge went first. And then it went to the Somerville Theater. And it was there for a while until we took it over. Which Somerville Theater were pretty decent to them, and Coolidge was pretty decent to them too. It's just it's just kind of like regime changes. Like things just go, people leave, be it like theaters and or part of the Boston Open Screen Group, and they just had to go separate ways. And it would go and like bringing up the topic of cycles again, like there would be ebbs and flows of just kind of like high attendance, low attendance, evening off. And in the last couple of years, maybe, I think this is our third year we've been doing this. Adam, Vache, Adrian, and myself. Adrian, this is his first year. But this is our third year doing it. And about 4 years ago, when they were still at the Somerville Theater, both Zachley and Jeff Stern, two of the primary founders, they had said, we're not going to do it. We don't want to do this anymore. We kind of have, we kind of run our course with it. And they saw us like not young kids, but young to them, plucky young kids with stars in our eyes, or something in our eyes. And they said, would you like to take over? So we decided, yeah, we didn't want it to die. And that's the reason why when you volunteer for something, and if you're putting yourself out there, want to, off the checklist, you don't want it to die. That's pretty special one. And it's just, it was a necessity. And we actually, we took it from Somerville, brought it to Coolidge. And we've been there ever since, and Coolidge has been really great to us. And we're actually working with Coolidge now, and they're amping up advertisement for it, and we're pretty happy there. And we, too, have experienced the kind of ebb and flow of kind of both, I guess, viewership or audience participation, or people coming, attendance, that's the word, that's the correct one, people coming in and out. And we've sold out. Like 1 month, and another month we'll have half, another month we'll have a sellout, another month we'll have, 10, 15 people. It's not a big room. It's about like 40 to 45 people in a room, in the screening room. But it's intimate, and it's fantastic. We just put it up there, and as long as it's less than 10 minutes, you can bring it. And it doesn't matter, I mean, we don't, like I said, we don't see it, we don't screen it. So it's all new to us, and it's up there for everyone to kind of see. And we usually hang out after. We actually have a couple promo videos that our most recent co-organizer, Adrian Atwood, put together for a promo for overall Boston Open Screen. Yeah, so we've been only kind of holding the candle or the torch for about 3 years, and it's been going on, like I said, since 2003, 2004. So it's going on for a while, and still a lot of the thing that kind of mystifies me, but it makes sense because Boston is full of turnover, as we all kind of know, because of college, school, the colleges. Everyone pretty much leaves, goes off to New York, L.A., especially in the film and video department. If you're a film student, I mean that's the destination. Is New York or LA or somewhere else. But for those of you who stay around here, and college students who are still with us, I mean, it's a great place to put it up there. I mean, comedians have open mics. Now you have filmmakers have an open mic. they want to have a Boston scene. And I'm not saying it doesn't exist, I'm just saying they want to make sure it exists. They want to continuously feed it. And that's a beautiful thing, too. And that's part of what we're doing. As Mark Anastasio, our kind of contact, our by default for Coolidge, great guy. He runs the midnight screenings and a bunch of other stuff. He actually said it in a recent kind of meeting we had, just kind of hanging out. It was really great. I really was smitten by it. He said, "You guys are doing. This is a great thing for independent filmmakers in Boston. Like no one else is really doing this." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's part of the game." And it's kind of like stumbling onto this. I myself have not been a part of it as long as my constituent and buddy Adam, but I remember the first time I went. And actually, one of my shorts got shown there, called Vampire. Vampire with an exclamation point. It's aggressively stupid, but I love it. And it's beautifully filmed, and it's got some good silly performances. But it was shown there, and the reaction it got, and one of the people there said, "Oh, you know what? Take this to Boston Underground Film Fest." And that's actually how I began my relationship with the Boston Underground Film Festival, both professionally and personally. And other people have shown stuff there, and we get a lot of great stuff, and we get a lot of crap. I mean, that's kind of great, and it's just kind of like, and I love it's kind of like an unwritten rule that everyone must clap and be very courteous. And like I stated earlier, we don't know what we're getting, so it's kind of, we're in a world of weirdness and shit. Pardon my French. Oh yeah, are we allowed to? Are you going to bleep? All right, fair enough. Public access. But no, we actually have not in our tenure. We have not, and I don't think they've done it before. We came close, but it was not because it was offensive or anything, but mainly because it was just kind of a workaround. Someone asked if we could have a beer break or something, and I was kind of flippant about it. I was just kind of like, "You can go whenever you want, guy." And then the next time he brought a piece that was literally a 10-minute countdown for people just to go and get beers. It was kind of kudos to him, but we had to just grin and eat it. I'm like, "I'm not shutting it off. This is a test," and it was fun. No, but I don't think he. I mean, he was nice enough. We talked to him about it, I believed, but he's come back before and he hasn't brought it. But yeah. I just won't be too flippant with someone asking about a beer break. But we don't, and off of that, we don't have beer breaks, so you can go whenever. But which is great. Also, too, the Coolidge allows you to drink alcohol in the theater, so it makes things a little easier. Yeah, we have actually. Recently, we had this past year. I believe Eric Joseph Schilling. I apologize if I'm butchering your name, Eric. I believe he's in Somerville, I'm not sure, but he submitted a great documentary on this Cleveland nightlife guy, which I think is Mr. Cleveland is the name of the guy. Do you remember, Adam? But it was a great documentary. It was a short, obviously, because everything needs to be under 10 minutes, or 10 minutes or less. And it went on to win a couple things, and it played in a bunch of festivals, too. And I think we had said to him, too, "You have to bring this to festivals, you have to submit it." And we will be like, excuse me, we will be outright about we'll be nice to other people. We won't be like, your stuff was not good, but you should submit. We'll say outright to people because we'll meet at a pub afterwards called the Corb, usually, which is kind of down the road in Brookline. And we'll talk to people and be like, "Hey, your stuff is really good," or "I like what you did here, you should submit it." And yeah, it was awesome. He submitted that. And I think there've been a couple other shorts that have made it. That's the one that stands out to me. But and I've actually passed along shorts that we've had to Boston Underground, because like I said, they'd ask and I'd send stuff their way. There actually is one great music video that we had from filmmakers from Romania, who were here for the past month and or 2 months. They were here doing a documentary. They're not going to be here next month, unfortunately, but they heard about us. And they were like, "Hey, and they brought their stuff, and it was beautiful. They brought a whole bunch of stuff, and we just played it. And last week we played up to 10 minutes, up to 10 minutes of a 30-minute piece they did, and it was beautiful. So I mean, and you get people who just bring in stuff who you have never, you don't know where they're coming from, and like, "Oh, where's this out of left field? Oh yeah, I shot this on my iPhone 5, it was just me visiting India. And it's just like, I also feel great because, like, oh, I just kind of went on a trip to India, just sitting back and being a part of Open Screen. And actually, that kid did pretty well with his iPhone 5. It looked beautiful. Yeah, we both were like, what? Yes, we have. We've actually had a lot of actors, actresses, and filmmakers who bring their whole cast or crew, whoever they can, to it, and they mingle a lot. We've put together a lot of relationships as far as uh, future projects are put together. They find other people there. Our inherent laziness is part of an obstacle. No, we're just getting out there, being there, and doing it, and connecting to people face to face. Because it's easier. I mean, it is a job. It's a whole nother job to get, as filmmakers know, as people in any kind of business know, and getting the word out there. Like, social media is a great place to do it, but I often find that it's constricting, because you're holding yourself in this little box of who knows who will see it, and you have to know your audience. And we know our audience is kind of diverse, but we also want to dip into the college crowd a lot, and sometimes through social media you kind of miss that a bit. So that obstacle is just physically getting on our feet and getting out there, being like a foot soldier and spreading the word. That's an obstacle, because we don't have all the time we can, and when we can get out there on our feet and physically like engage people, that's usually the best. And I guess the other two obstacles are weather. Like, but last winter was pretty rough. But we actually had, yeah, it was nuts. The T was down last year, last February or January. But we still had a decent showing, and because we had snow, because the 9th, we had snow like that Monday, I think. Was that the 8th? I think it would snow that Monday. We didn't have as many people the next day because I think there was like supposed to be snow that night. But like, that's a big one. But still, we've actually done better than I thought we would, with especially last winter. And the third obstacle, I guess, I don't know, just people's time, and being on a Tuesday night, I think, is another one. But I don't. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't, depending on, what is it? If it's like a Friday or Saturday night, maybe it'd be a little better, but it also wouldn't be kind of what Open Screen is, and we probably wouldn't be able to have the spotlight on us on a Tuesday night, because if we did it on a Saturday, how many people are doing so many things on a Saturday or a Friday night, or a Sunday night? No, Tuesday, and actually it's been a Tuesday night its whole time, I believe, so, and that's kind of crazy, in a good way. But yeah, no, good, and actually, those might not be the top three, but there are definitely three good ones. That's a good question. I also think, to build on that thought, because I think a lot of actors and actresses and a lot of real good acting talent will make their way to New York or L.A. or wherever, be it theater or film and television. I actually think Boston Open Screen has a good mix of documentary stuff and fiction. I mean, it's a breeding ground in a lot of ways. Do I think it will bring more fiction as a mainstay to Boston? I don't know. I don't think. I'm trying to think of what can. I mean, jobs will. I think that's the only thing that'll really. It'll be a great place for people to. It'll be a great lab for it. Like, I don't know if you guys are comedy nerds, or if you know of Second City, like in Chicago, like in all those places. There was Del Close was one of the founding members of Second City and of Long Improv, and helped the people from UCB start their own thing. He would talk about how Chicago was the lab, like, for comedy, for creating this great comedy and experimental comedy, and New York and LA were kind of like where things got made. So, like, Boston Open Screen to me feels like a laboratory where we can just kind of just make fiction, make doc, throw that stuff, and then people will go do their own thing somewhere else. Last month, or this month, it was like, I'd say more, because we didn't have as much material, it was probably 75 to 25% of, like, 75% of people were there to see what's going on. And we get like a healthy combination of that, even when you get a whole bunch of people there bringing stuff. It's awesome. Like, there's just this elder couple who just came in like, oh, we just want to see what's going on. I'm like, all right, this might not be for you, but all right. But it was, and they loved it. They stayed. We've only had one couple walk out who were like, nah, this isn't ours. And I'm like, sorry. And I forget what tipped them. It might have been the Willem Dafoe nude thing, but or might have kept them. I don't know. I'm not their therapist. I don't know who they are. But yeah, we've had a healthy mix, and it always surprises me and fills my heart with love when I see these people come in who legitimately want to see interesting and weird stuff. Well, I mean, part of it is kind of the feeling of being in there, and I apologize for being so like kind of esoteric about it, but like you being in the, I actually hate being in, I love and hate being in the audience while I'm showing something. I'll run into the booth because I like hearing, and if there's dead silence where there's supposed to be a laugh, like all right, that puts a pin in that balloon. But when you can hear it beat by beat as how the film goes, and you can actually talk to people afterwards that you meet there. So there's the reaction that people can't necessarily fake. You know what I mean? Because if you're in and if they do fake it, you can kind of feel, if you have that kind of overall kind of like sixth or seventh or eighth sense of like feeling a room or feeling what other people are kind of, just their overall kind of body language and just how everyone displays themselves. It's interesting. But yeah, that's how that feedback kind of goes. It's beautifully damning in a lot of ways. Yeah, the tax incentive and Hollywood East was a huge thing, and they do this in a lot of states and a lot of cities or towns, and where like, and it's kind of like there's a lot of, it harkens back to me saying realistic expectations about what a community is and what they can do and what you can get out of it, and when I say realistic, I don't mean like ditch your dreams, kids, because it's not worth it. I'm talking about utilizing stuff around you in a smarter way, more fiscally sound way, and there are a bunch of people who make beautiful films for nothing. And I mean, we're talking about different levels. And on the level of Michael and Sophia, I mean, yeah, they're underground filmmakers, and they're going to make they're moving to Hollywood to make more underground film that they probably could make here. And it just kind of, realistically, you could probably make more films if the matter is raising more money for the thing. It's just a matter of, you can always go for dentist money or New York money or go to Canada. I don't know, actually Vancouver probably would be the best, or Toronto.